There are a lot of Americans out there, their blood is boiling over what Donald Trump did on January 6th, what he did leading up to January 6th, and they just think that he's just getting let off the hook scot-free left and right.
That was Abilio. Jim Acosta, CNN. He's been promoted. He's got his own one-hour show on CNN now. No one watches, but at least he's a jihadi for the left. The propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party, of which Jim Acosta, remember him during the Trump administration at the White House, throwing rocks and setting fires, and CNN promoted him for it. Time Warner, whatever it is. The propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party is inescapable. It's everywhere. It's about information dominance. The left doesn't believe in a free and fair press. They believe in a corrupt and subservient press. They have established this all over the world for generations now, and now we have it in the United States of America, I'm sorry to have to say. I told you a story a couple of days ago. Happy Tuesday to you and welcome. Got President Trump to get to in just a moment. And the Supreme Court ruling against the radical left in the United States has them really in a twist. They're very upset. I'm surprised they're not rioting and looting and burning police cars and then blaming the police, which is their pattern. But a couple of other things to get to, because I just got some news today, but I want to share with you that the left is here. The left is not for a free press. The left is anti-constitutional. The so-called Democratic Party is anti-democratic, and it's been proved again today. I shared with you a story 4 days ago now that Steve Baker of The Blaze, a reporter who has been investigating, among other important things, the so-called pipe bombs at the DNC headquarters and the RNC headquarters in Washington, D.C., January 6th, January 5th, right? And he was arrested by the FBI 4 days ago and put in handcuffs and was told to show up in shorts and flip-flops. Inexplicably, he showed up in a suit instead because he's a normal adult man. But never mind that. He was arrested on Friday and charged with allegedly participating in the January 6th, 2021 Capitol riot. Now, let's see, we've had January 6, 2022 and 2023, and now January 6, 2024. So more than 3 years ago, the little dust-up, which paled in comparison to the left-wing riots in Washington, D.C., burning the church of the presidents, forcing the evacuation of the president from the White House and the First Family down to the nuclear bunker beneath the White House itself by the Secret Service, injuring 180 police officers in their 3-day attack on the White House. Nobody was sentenced to any time in jail for any of that, and that's all fine. But never mind that. Steve Baker, as a reporter for The Blaze, was on Capitol Hill that day. He's not accused of hitting anyone, assaulting a police officer, for which you should be held accountable if you did that. He's not accused of stealing anything or breaking anything. He's accused of being there as a reporter and documenting what he saw. And just 4 days ago, the Democratic Party, the Biden administration, had Steve Baker arrested and thrown in handcuffs. And there were reports that he was put in leg shackles, which they did to Peter Navarro, a White House official who was in ongoing discussions with the FBI, when they ambushed him at Reagan National Airport and literally put him in leg shackles and dragged him away like they're Nazis, But never mind that. So Blaze Media Journalists describes humiliating treatment by FBI during arrest, because they arrested him for investigating why there's been no news for 4 years on the 2 alleged pipe bombs allegedly found in front of the DNC headquarters and allegedly found in front of the RNC headquarters. We've seen videotape that they've made disappear of the man who allegedly planted the bombs, the pipe bombs that are alleged pipe bombs at this point. The video showed that he was on his cell phone, but somehow they haven't been able to track this guy down using his cell phone in this area, Washington, D.C., on video. There are video cameras everywhere in Washington, D.C. You could follow him back to his car, but never mind that. So just amazing. Steve Baker was arrested on Friday. Now, I have an update because it's truly amazing stuff what our government has become, and that is a tool of the Democrat Party when the Democrat Party is in charge, certainly, and they'll keep President Trump off the ballot if they can. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Now, according to what Steve Baker told Glenn Beck in an interview the other day, he said he felt overwhelmed by the FBI's tactics, included shackles around his wrists and his legs, his waists, and also told Glenn Beck that he was booked on misdemeanor charges. But the FBI had to come in 4 years later, put shackles around leg restraints, right? Leg restraints and handcuffs. It's just extraordinary. Now, I have an update, and here's my update. I also want to put into context this harsh new reality in a left-wing America, a corrupt United States America. The Associated Press this morning, judge holds veteran journalist Catherine Herridge in civil contempt for refusing to divulge her source. Well, that's what journalists are supposed to do. They're supposed to keep their sources confidential. Let's start arresting New York Times, and Trump has to take office so we can start throwing the leg shackles on New York Times reporters who get leaks from anonymous sources at the Trump White House. And then when called upon to reveal their sources, if they refuse to divulge the sources, they're going to have to be arrested at airports and put in leg shackles like Peter Navarro and like Steve Baker. Judge holds veteran journalist Catherine Herridge in civil contempt. This is your Associated Press, just extraordinary stuff. And so she was held in contempt. A federal judge held veteran investigative reporter Catherine Herridge in civil contempt. Now, this was also 5 days ago now, for refusing to divulge her source for a series of Fox News stories about a Chinese-American scientist who was investigated by the FBI but never charged. And she got a scoop on this, and she reported it. And now she's looking at, she's been charged with a crime here, and she could be facing terrible things. U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper in Washington imposed a fine of $800 per day on Herridge until she reveals her source. But the fine will not go into effect immediately to give her time to appeal. Okay, it's a shakedown. It's a racket. Now, we had a story just the other day also about a Chinese businessman, Mr. Ho, who is now on the brink of or suing Hunter Biden for the $1 million that Mr. Ho gave Hunter Biden for services that Hunter Biden never rendered to Mr. Ho. Mr. Ho. And I got to tell you, this is a crazy world. You may remember that the Obama administration, that'd be the Obama-Biden administration, they investigated journalistic leaks, and they were trying their best to find the leakers and throw them in jail. And in more than one instance, they did. And in doing so, they spied on James Rosen, who was then of Fox News, now of Newsmax. And they spied on James Rosen's parents in New York City. They tapped their phones, hacked into their emails. James Risen, no relation, of the New York Times was also spied on so that the Obama-Biden administration could get to the sources that leaked them information so they could punish the government officials or whoever it was that leaked the information to the New York Times and James Risen, that leaked information to James Rosen and Fox News. The Obama-Biden administration also used the intelligence apparatus of the United States to do that, just as they used the intelligence apparatus of the United States and John Brennan and the others to corrupt our 2020 presidential election with their big lie letter signed by 51 corrupt criminals in the allegedly in the intelligence community. The Obama-Biden administration also spied on the Associated Press, and they tapped their phones in Washington, at their headquarters in Washington, their bureau, and their Capitol Hill operation, and they tapped into everybody's emails and their phone records and so on. The Obama-Biden White House did. They also, under John Brennan at the CIA, the communist voter, John Brennan, that Barack Obama mentored by a communist as a young man, the CIA spied on the Senate Intelligence Committee, which has oversight of the CIA. And when they were caught, John Brennan lied to the Senate about spying on them and tapping into their computers. And later on, he was caught in the lie and then shrugged and walked away because there's no accountability for criminals in Washington, D.C., as long as they're serving the interests of the Democrat Party. That is your Democrat Party today. And you'd think the news media would be upset about this, but they're bootlicks, and that's as generous as I can be when it comes to serving the interests of the Democrat Party. We have a Democrat Party that doesn't believe in a free and fair press. They want to make sure the press is not free to report, and they corrupt the press to make sure that it's not fair. They have sex with them, and they go to Martha's Vineyard and St. Bart's with them on vacation, and they all go to the same parties and so on. Now, with that said, I've got a lot of President Trump that I want to share with you today as well. And I think I'd like to get to all of the President Trump in one fell swoop, because that's important. Now, we were talking about this corrupt Secretary of State, Democrat, radical leftist extremist in Colorado, who's looking to subvert the Constitution and our democracy while declaring that she's here to save the Constitution and democracy, because that's what the left does. It's the Russian playbook, right? So we got that. But we've got these radical lefties also. Jamie Raskin, he is the Lost Marks brother, and he's a pirate in the House of Representatives. He's from Maryland. He's an extremist. And Raskin, here's the headline that I like best from the extreme left-wing publication, should probably be shut down. New Republic. Jamie Raskin one-ups Supreme Court with plan to kick Trump off ballot. I'm sorry, it's your plan to kick Trump off the ballot? Now, insurrection, according to Merriam-Webster, is an act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government. Now, I've got to say that the Secretary of State in Colorado is definitely engaging in an insurrection based on that definition, an act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government. And Jenna Griswold is an insurrectionist, right? Jamie Raskin one-ups Supreme Court. I don't think one House member can one-up the Supreme Court, but okay. With plan to kick Trump off ballot. That sounds to me like an insurrection. He's looking to kick Trump off the ballot with his meager little conspiracy of dunces, including the Chinese Communist Party tool in the House of Representatives, Eric Swalwell. And these are acts or instances of revolting against civil authority or an established government, without a doubt. But Jamie Raskin, radical extremist, should be impeached. Has a message for the Supreme Court. Challenge accepted. The Supreme Court didn't challenge it, but okay. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled Monday that Colorado can't kick Donald Trump off its 2024 state primary ballot, and by extension, neither can any other state. Illinois and Maine have tried to do the same thing. And now Raskin is teaming up with this leftist, Eric Swalwell, who literally was catapulted to political fame in large part because he's being promoted by the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese intelligence apparatus that is pushing him forward. It's pretty extraordinary stuff. And now the Democrats are planning on coming back for more. Raskin, Swalwell, And I think they're involved in a conspiracy, aren't they? They've got a plot. They're planning on abusing their power. They're planning on denying Trump. Now, the Supreme Court just ruled they don't care. The rule of law doesn't bother them because they're not liberals. They're leftists. They're not liberals. They're leftists. I got President Trump coming up for you. He was great yesterday, and I've got a bunch of what President Trump said from Mar-a-Lago that I will share with you shortly. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. We've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being harassed by pro-terrorist Democrats at a shopping mall while leaving a movie theater yesterday. It's fun, and it just reveals her to be a hypocrite once again. Let's go to Ratskin because it's Debbie Was-A-Man Schnitz. That's the one I was blanking on. Jamie Raskin on the television yesterday is, they're not done. They're fanatics. They're jihadis. They're going to keep coming back till they get Trump off the ballot for insurrection, for which he has never been charged or tried or convicted.
The Supreme Court punted and said it's up to Congress to act. And so I am working with a number of my colleagues, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Eric Swalwell, to revive legislation that we had to set up a process by which we could determine that someone who committed insurrection is disqualified by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And the House of Representatives already impeached Donald Trump for participating in insurrection by inciting it. So the House has already pronounced upon that, and there was also a 57-43 vote in the Senate.
57-43.
Whether Speaker Mike Johnson would allow us to bring this to the floor of the House.
I can predict the future on this. He will not allow you to bring it to the House because you guys are the Civil War Part 2. You guys are anti-democratic. You're anti-Constitution. You're anti-Bill of Rights. And you should find your Jefferson Davis if you're going to go forward with this. I think that Fort Sumter should start fortifying because the Democrats are back. And can slavery be far behind? Pretty amazing stuff. Also, I will straighten out these protesters chasing AOC around, and I'll straighten out AOC going forward. But next we have, so this is the Democrats. They've got a scheme. It's a conspiracy between Ratskin and Eric Swalwell, who's a Chinese Communist Party operative in the House of Representatives, brought here by Fang Fang, with whom he was having a sexual relationship as she advanced his career and raised funds for him. She was a Chinese intelligence operative. And we shrug today and act like that's no big deal because Democrats, these are amazing times. If we only had a news media, what would they be reporting? But coming up next is President Trump. They got AOC and Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley. He has a TV show on CNN, but because it's on CNN, nobody watches it. And I've got a little bit I want to share with you. He talked about black people wearing T-shirts with Donald Trump mugshots on it, right? So I'm going to want to share that with you today, too, because Barkley is always hilarious. What's not to love about Charles Barkley? He's great. But he had some comments about black people wearing T-shirts with the Donald Trump mugshot, and I want to share that with you. And AOC, hypocrite extraordinaire, being dogged by some anti-Semite Democrats who love genocidal death cult Hamas members more than civilization. And I've got that for you. But right now, let's get to President Trump. Because yesterday he spoke from Mar-a-Lago. He also spoke to Sean Hannity yesterday. And I want to start with that, I think. He was on the phone with Sean Hannity and about the Supreme Court ruling that happened yesterday while we were on the air about 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we shared it with you pretty much in real time. I think we were in a news break when it happened, but a couple minutes later, we were back with all the news about that. And here's President Trump yesterday talking to Hannity.
It was a great decision. We're very honored by it. And it basically said you have to win by getting the votes as opposed to some other way. And that's really what we wanted. And it was a very powerful decision, very well crafted, and very well respected, I must say.
And very well respected, I must say. And President Trump the word I kept hearing yesterday was measured. And I didn't even solicit this, but I had no fewer than 4 people on text threads, including one lifelong Democrat, send me, President Trump, very measured. And the same word again and again. It was peculiar. But Trump, very measured. Fascinating. So President Trump then took to the podium at Mar-a-Lago with 4 full-sized American flags flanking him. And he told a number of truths yesterday. And again, I was getting all kinds of feedback in real time from people on text threads and so on. Kept seeing the word measured. President Trump yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, after, of course, the Supreme Court decision, I think he came out about noon and maybe a little later, and had a few things to say. And he was very calm and very focused.
I'm being prosecuted by Biden, my opponent, because every one of these things, whether it's Fannie Willis or Bragg, these are local and state, but they're in total coordination with the White House. You can't do that. It shouldn't be done.
You can't do that. It shouldn't be done. That's right. And we've got all kinds of supporting evidence for that, of course, including records from the White House showing that Fannie's boyfriend went to the White House and spent, 8 hours with White House counsel coordinating the Atlanta lynching, not to be confused with the New York lynching, where they lied and lied. The judge lied, the creepy judge. And you see the creepy judge has some, women complaining that he's too creepy, the creepy judge in New York. I always want to call him Erdogan, like the president of Turkey, but Engoron is his name, Arthur Engoron. And apparently he's creepy with the ladies, which surprises no one. But he's the one who said, Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million, while he was accusing, when it's worth $500 million at least, while he was accusing President Trump of misvaluing his properties, the judge, the crooked, creepy judge himself, was misvaluing the properties. No sense of irony. I'm telling you, you're a Democrat Party. There's something unwell with the Democrat Party today. Crazy. And another item that I want to share with you as well from yesterday in the New York Post, Fannie Willis, since President Trump just mentioned Fannie Willis. Fannie Willis warned Nathan Wade's lawyer to stay quiet about their affair. Court filing claims, quote, "They're coming after us." Fannie Willis feels like they're coming after her. No, you're going after, they got it backward again. You're going after Trump. A new witness could testify Fannie Willis warned lover Nathan Wade's former business partner, who testified there last week under oath, to stay quiet about their affair. An explosive new court filing claims. They're coming after us. You don't need to talk about them, about anything about us. Too many abouts in that sentence, but okay. That's what she said. Willis is alleged to have warned Terrence Bradley in a September 2023 phone call. The call was overheard by Cobb County Georgia prosecutor Cindy Lee Yeager, according to court papers. Now, if she's warning a witness to not talk about things, then she needs to be disbarred. Not just taken off the case, but she is engaged in a conspiracy to corrupt justice, to conceal evidence. She's attempting to suborn perjury. And if the same law that is being applied to Donald Trump were applied to Fannie Willis, then Fannie Willis would, I think, honestly, be disbarred. She advised him to withhold evidence. She suborned perjury. And she encouraged him to lie to the court. So those are crimes. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. Crimes. And she as an officer of the court, should be held accountable. Let's get back to President Trump. So he brought up Fani Willis, and there was a Fani Willis story from yesterday, and she should be held accountable, but she probably won't be, because Democrats and corruption go together like carrots and peas. President Trump yesterday from Mar-a-Lago talking about what he is experiencing.
President Biden, number one, stop weaponization. Fight your fight yourself. Don't use prosecutors and judges to go after your opponent, to try and damage your opponent so you can win an election. Our country is much bigger than that.
Yeah, but the left is here, and they're anti-democratic, and they damage our democracy, our constitutional republic, while claiming that they're here to save it and protect it. Classic commie stuff, classic Russian playbook stuff. It genuinely is. Oh, we're here to save democracy, as they commit terrible damage to our system of government and to our judicial system, our system of justice, which is what we used to call it at least. We're here to save democracy and the Constitution, while they burn the Constitution, ride roughshod over our democratic processes. President Trump on weaponizing the courts and the prosecutors, and they volunteer to do it in New York, and they lie. Judge Arthur Engoron should be held accountable for misrepresenting the truth as well, but he won't be. President Trump from Mar-a-Lago yesterday.
The other thing I say to President Biden, close the borders now. This is not sustainable for our country. It's not sustainable for our cities. Our country is under siege. This is a violent thing that you've done, and many people are dying.
Well, that's absolutely true. We could start with Laken Riley. Say her name. Joe Biden still hasn't said her name. George Floyd, career criminal junkie, resisting arrest yet again when he died of a half fentanyl overdose, half heart failure. George Floyd's family was invited to the White House. He's a hero of the revolution. But Laken Riley and her family, they kept the press out of the funeral in the church on Friday. But the press was just going to do a hatchet job on them anyway because, filthy press. President Trump yesterday talking about the open borders and the illegal aliens and the crime and the mayhem and the dead Americans.
Many of the people coming up are from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. Many are terrorists. You see it. Many are terrorists. And I believe the real number that we have right now is probably closer to 15 million people. And by the time the term ends, I believe the president's term ends, I believe you'll be at close to 20 million people. That's almost larger than any state in the union. Our country, it is not sustainable.
That's the Democrats' plan for the fundamental transformation of America. And Barack Obama warning us all that we better learn to speak Spanish, and our kids better speak Spanish as well. And President Trump yesterday, again, very calm, very measured, very focused, very presidential.
I have great respect for the Supreme Court, and I want to just thank them for working so quickly and so diligently and so brilliantly. And again, this is a unifying factor. Everybody now is together, and they can go after me as a politician. They can go after me with votes, but they're not going to go after me with that kind of lawsuit.
Well, it's the stuff of the third world. And I don't know for how many years I've been talking about this. The left necessarily brings the third world with them. And these idiots who call themselves liberals and call themselves Democrats, in all too many instances, all too many cases, in key positions, are actually leftists and not liberals at all. And they see their power as something to be abused for the party and not for the betterment of the country or the Constitution or our democracy or for mankind, which is the whole point of the United States of America, the beacon of light, the shining city on a hill. President Trump yesterday.
It's been weaponized like it's never been. This is for third world countries. This isn't for us. Biden ought to drop all of these things. And frankly, he may do better if he does, because people would say, wow, that was very reasonable. Look, it's weaponization. Never been done in this country. It's been done in third world countries, banana republics, never in this country.
That is a straight up fact. You know, we see Vladimir Putin just had his primary political opponent killed while in a prison. He was sentenced to 19 years in prison, right? And then he mysteriously died in the Gulag north of the Arctic Circle. In Senegal, in Africa, the ruling party just had their primary opponent jailed and taken off the ballot. In Venezuela, where the communist who calls himself a socialist, Nicolas Maduro, rules, he had his primary opponent taken off the ballot. And here in the United States of America, because, you know, Ungla Bungla, we're turning into a third world country, the Democrats, the so-called Democrats, are doing everything they can to have their primary opponent taken off the ballot, President Trump.
I want to win based on my policies are better. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to get interest rates down. You're going to be able to buy homes again. I mean, you can't buy a home today. The interest rates are so high. I want to win on safe borders. I want to stop wars. I want to stop the war in Ukraine with Russia. I want to stop what's happening in Israel. Israel would have never been attacked if I were president. Ukraine would have never, ever been attacked if I was president. You wouldn't have had inflation. Inflation was caused by high energy prices. I had low energy prices. I would have kept them there very easily.
9 or 8.
No, like, I mean, all of that is certainly arguably true at a bare minimum. There would be no war in Europe. Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. Hamas wouldn't have attacked Israel. There wouldn't be war in Europe and the Middle East. We wouldn't have the Houthis blasting. I've got good stuff when we get to the idiots protesting the idiot. It's kind of fun. Pro-Hamas Democrats attacking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's great stuff. And I'll share a couple of tidbits of information with them that might help them going forward in life, but I doubt it. But it's true, gas prices were like $2.11 under President Trump, and then went to like $500 under a gallon. What, it was more than $5 a gallon under Joe Biden. Our economy stinks. There's war all over the world. The United States has lost our mojo because we've got a cripple in the Oval Office.
I just want to thank all of you for being here. I think it's a very big day for America. I think it's a very big day for liberty, and I think it's just a great day for this country. Again, I hope it's unifying like I think, but it is. It's a big step toward unification.
Big step toward unification, a great day for America. The Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision. The three radical lefties siding with the majority in this common sense case. And the Democrats could care less because now Raskin and Was-A-Man Schultz and Eric Swalwell, the Chinese intelligence operative, Democrat in good standing with their friends in the news media, they're plotting an insurrection, a rebellion against established authority, so they can take down the political rival of the Democrat Party. Barack Obama did warn us that we're going to have to learn to speak Spanish, learn to speak another language. He did promise the fundamental transformation of America, and the idiots in the crowd cheered like the Rolling Stones just came out on stage. The Democratic Party isn't. I have great stuff coming up. AOC, this is a funny thing with AOC, the big hypocrite that she is, and the pro-Hamas Democrats coming out to give her a little rousting as she was leaving a movie theater. Great stuff. And more crazy Democrats as well. And I got a few fun facts to share with the dimwits that they won't understand, but that doesn't matter. And the chainsaw home invasion in Virginia. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other dim-witted Democrats met in a shopping mall, and they exchanged a lack of thought. They demonstrated their ignorance. Let's take a phone call now, though, Michael. Let's go to Justin, calling from Wilmington, North Carolina. Justin, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning, Chris. Hey, I was just listening last night. I saw the Democrat primary debate where Kamala Harris was saying to Tulsi Gabbard that what needs to happen is the Obama coalition must be rebuilt and that she is the one to get it done. And I'm like, wow, look, it's rebuilt. You know, we have 80% of Obama staff up there in the White House. So they're not protecting democracy. They're protecting the Obama coalition or Obama regime power. And they're socialists. And, you know, I think we've lost democracy and we need to get it back.
Yeah, I think that you're onto something here. And, you know, Barack Obama got his $8 million house off of Embassy Road that he bought from Joe Lockhart, who was a Clinton administration official and a former colleague of mine at CNN long ago, because the news media and the Democrat Party go way back together. But never mind that. And Obama has one of his multi-million-dollar homes is here in Washington, D.C., and there was a great story. I don't know if you heard this, Justin, but a local D.C. paper found all these Biden White House officials spending their days at Obama's house.
It's the Obama coalition. Just listen to Kamala Harris at that debate 4 years ago.
Yep. Frank Marshall Davis was the Communist Party member that was a mentor to Barack Obama growing up. Barack Obama became a Saul Alinsky follower, just like Hillary Clinton. There are photographs of him when he's supposed to be teaching law, teaching Saul Alinsky rules for radicals, how to undo capitalism and undo America. Barack Obama made a Communist Party voter the director of the CIA, John Brennan. John Brennan corrupted our 2020 presidential election. Joe Biden is a sock puppet, and it's true, the Obama coalition is in charge.